the strong side of bracket, you're going to end up in that weaker side.
I mean,
because
also
you're gonna be facing the other like 11, 13, 17 seeds, right?
Yeah. That I want to say that's also they're coming into it like really amped up, you know? Like you don't leave a 3-2 set to Oro Jackson like
not hype.
Yeah, you're leaving that high energy and maybe a little angry. So you're gonna be going down to losers bracket and you want to prove yourself. So
you have a chip on your shoulder now, a score.
Yeah, easy. So I'm not surprised if I'm not going to be surprised if they go on to have a crazy run in losers. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Moving on though, I mean, Oro Jackson ezmd is going to be, I mean, hopefully a good set. ezmd are players that we're sort of familiar with. But I mean, Oro Jackson, like that's classic, right? Like, yeah. I mean, just hear me out. Like, it's hard.
That this is a David versus Goliath.
I mean, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like you see Oro Jackson, and when we set up predictions for this match, most of the money's gonna be on Oro Jackson, just because.
Oh, for sure.
It's Oro Jackson. So, I'm just saying. Predictions are up, by the way. So go on ahead and put all of your money there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 50,000 on Oro Jackson.
See,
and done.
And see, there's the difference between you and me. You put 50,000 on Oro Jackson because that's the safe bet. I put like 50 on ezmd to play the odds.
Oh yeah, but see, what happened was no one else had put their predictions in yet, so I go for the easy money. But if other people had put their money in on Oro Jackson, I would have put probably 10K on ezmd. Just to give a prize pool to the people who do Oro Jackson. That's normally where my money goes.
Get some points when they win.
Yeah. So I mean, it just is how it is. So people can get a little bit of money. But I mean, it is what it is.
It always is what it is. But this match is going to be exciting.
Oh right? Yeah, easy.
Because watching Oro Jackson play is always a pleasure because they're so good. They're one of the top 4 teams. I would say they're probably going to end up in grand finals. So we're going to watch very buttoned up Splatoon. Well, I say that they could be playing fast and loose because it's still early in the bracket. Yeah. But I mean, they are one of the top teams, and they're one of the top teams for a reason. So it's always a treat to see them play because I find we're mostly plugged into the NA scene because we are North American. It just is how it is. There is a time difference, and we don't know the European events as well. So as a result, we don't get to see a lot of those European teams play as much until we get to these majors, right? So I'm always excited when I get to see them because it's a level of competitive and a style of competitive that I just don't get to see as often. And they are so good. They are such high caliber that I need, this is good studying is what I'm saying. I need this. So now I can go, watch Nintendo events and be like, why isn't Duckwitz Youth playing like Oro Jackson? Mm-hmm. Well, and it's always also fun too, seeing international teams because most major regions develop their own flavor of the meta, their own dialect, I guess. Yeah. Where the broad strokes are still the same, but that fourth weapon you put in a comp is going to be different. It's Japan is going to use something different than North America. North America is going to use something different than Europe.
Until a month from now, and then everyone's going to do what Japan was doing. But
yeah, because they're all going to look at Japan and go, "Wait a second, that's really smart. Why didn't we think about that?"
Yeah.
Or
we definitely get that flavor with Oro as well. They come in and they play or they run something slightly different than what everyone else is doing because their own communities are running certain things that favor different metas. So yeah, it's always really neat to see.
Well, and that even gets into something else that's really fun, which is tournament metas.
Yeah.
Right. That's not as much a problem for online events as for something like in-person events, even for bigger games.
Yeah.
But each individual tournament can have its own meta where someone can just be really feeling 52 gal deco for a pick. and just say, you know what, I'm farming with this weapon today for some reason, whatever that reason is. And so they just start playing it in every game, and all of a sudden, someone else is doing it now. And as the matches happen and that news kind of goes and finds its wings, so to speak, all of a sudden now someone has just created the new best weapon in the game because they had an incredible tournament run.
Yeah, easy. And I mean, I feel like that happened quite a lot across the years. I mean, one of the more notable ones is anytime that Arashi was on LAN and went crazy with Hammer, and then everyone was like, oh my god, Hammer is so good.
Yeah.
So
I think that's the most notable example.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I mean, also anytime Len gets on, I find like anytime, I mean, nowadays S-Blast is popular anyway, but before the S-Blast meta, I feel like anytime Len got on stream doing really, really well, people were like, oh, Blaster is really good. And then they'd go play it themselves and be like, I hate this.
Yeah, Blast is really hard.
Yeah, it is really good. They're not wrong. It's also just really hard, so. I mean, getting into things, we are going to be seeing Kit Kat today instead of Volty, as I read in chat, which is illegal. Volty's just not able to play today, so we're going to be seeing no Carbon gameplay, which I think does change the dynamic of Oro Jackson a decent.
Yeah, but with Permano on the decav, I don't think it changes it substantially. The only thing that really changes is how fast this opening fight is going, and ezmd getting 3 down on Oro Jackson basically instantly.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that's really worth talking about that ezmd is running is that E-Leader.
Yes, I mentioned how I wanted to see it in the last set, and the reason exactly that right there. E-Leader is so good. If it can consistently find the pencil on Oro Jackson, it will put ezmd at such a significant advantage, because pencil adds so much tempo to a team with Cooler that if you can hamstring it, then it just, the rest of the composition that's built around that tempo from the pen just falls apart. You know, when you have Silver absolutely going ham, slashing people in half, left, right, and center, E-Leader will never find its chance to shine, and I'm sure they're perfectly okay with that.
Absolutely. I mean, Silver is going absolutely wild. Some beautiful shots there, some redirections, some just threat. And that's what we're also seeing from the E-Leader, is just threatening gameplay that is keeping Oro Jackson in positions that's easier for people like Silver to come in and demolish. And I do want to talk about how that was 100-0 game on Oro Jackson. What is going on?
It was a thrashing. It was a thrashing.
Hello?
It's hard to even talk about that game, other than ezmd just said, this is our map now.
ezmd just said no.
Yeah, no, we came in here assuming that Oro Jackson was the Goliath. Based on that game, Oro Jackson might be the David.
No, we just have double Goliath. But no, Oro Jackson is Goliath. And then they turned around and there was a bigger Goliath standing behind them, and they were like, oop. We thought we were watching David and Goliath. We're actually watching Goliath and double Goliath.
No, we're actually watching Godzilla versus King Kong.
Mothra and Godzilla. We thought it was going to be humans against Oro Jackson. It's not.
That's really exciting.
It is.
Want to point out that E-Leader just absolutely thrashed. Right? New word of the day for me, for some reason.
I don't know. Sometimes it clicks.
Yeah. But that was so exciting.
Truly.
I want Oro Jackson to find their footing so we can keep watching more of that.
Yeah, and I feel like that could have just been an explosive out of the gates game that is a little wild and coming out of nowhere. And Oro Jackson was just like, oh my god, because that can happen easily with Mako, not Mako, Mahi, the other Ma map. So Mahi, I think it's the second of 3 Ma maps. So Mahi coming in there at like can snowball pretty easily. Like you have a couple fumbles on your retakes, easily it's a 100-0. So now I'm wondering if that's a fluke. Like, is that a map thing? Is that just like an out of the gates weird matchup thing? Are we going to get into a game 2 that's a little bit more even paced?
Something to point out about the Mahi game, Oro Jackson, their retake was very sloppy.
Yes.
So
well,
they kept. There's the area when the water drops and the box to the if you're attacking to the right of zone,
the floodplain.
It comes up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you drop a bunch of players in there, I call it a death trap because that's what it is. If you drop a bunch of players in there, the defending team has two really good angles that are separated by at least 90 degrees. Rainmaker! Sorry, I just had to derail my thought for a second. And on both of their pushes, Oro Jackson dropped two people into that death trap, and Silver just said, "Oh, yes, please."
Yeah.
And everything disappeared. The push disappeared, the players disappeared, everything disappeared. Yeah. So, like, when you're making that kind of fundamental mistake on Mahi, it's really not that unexpected to just get obliterated.
Yeah. And I mean, that makes sense.
What doesn't make sense to me, I'm a fan. I like Rainmaker. This counter pick doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Oro Jackson just got absolutely mollywopped. So now they're going to another game mode where the potential to get out-tempoed is insane.
So I feel
it has to be a counter pick for the leader, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like I feel like they were hoping to force the leader off of leader, and instead we just went to Kraken. So it didn't quite work out for them, but I feel like that was part of the strategy at least. Like we do see Permano on the left-hand side here, was up trying to tease that leader, is going to get caught into a fight with Seb and have to back out to try to help some teammates. But I feel like that has to be the decision.
Yeah. So Permano gets one, puts the bubble down. No one's been able to touch the Rainmaker, though. I'm kind of disappointed that none of the anchors haven't tried to weasel their way forward and start pushing the Rainmaker or threatening to push the Rainmaker forward. We've been dancing in the middle of the map for about a minute. Both teams have gone down and up and all around, but the Rainmaker is in solitary confinement surrounded by players.
Yeah, I feel like there's just a few too many swords in mid for anyone to feel comfortable picking it up, which I get. It does look like we're seeing ezmd losing a little bit of control of that mid area. But I mean, at this point, it's so back and forth so quick, just like that it's hard to say who has any control. And now we, of course, can, but I mean, we pick up that Rainmaker, immediately go down, so...
Cracking here to force through the checkpoint, just zone everyone off. It's probably not going to work. Gets two. Incredible play there. Rainmaker still hasn't been able to find its way forward because there was one single flanker. 4K though, not quite living up to his name, only getting 3, but you know, still good enough in my humble opinion.
I feel like what we did see there with the Kraken was everyone forced out into mid and then scattered the defense, right? So while we didn't get that good of a push here, we do have 3 members down, we only got to 37. I feel like that Kraken was actually a good play, we just need the Rainmaker to move a little more quickly.
Yeah, and you say only 37, and while that might be the case for Humpback, 37 also isn't a number to scoff at because, as we just witnessed, defending on this map can be quite easy, especially with dedicated anchors who can play high ground and hold that choke in elbow.
Sure, but we have a Crab and a Kraken to contest against, so the defense on this map is a little cooked.
Yeah, I mean, again, well, that just goes to show how fast ezmd and how well they did at pushing. That they broke through the defensive tools of Oro Jackson. I don't want to say like it was nothing because it wasn't, but they broke through the grab take, they broke through the pen, they broke through the decav, and well, they've also ended this push by only losing the checkpoint if they pick up the Rainmaker. If they pick up the Rainmaker, this push is done for Oro Jackson. If they choose to leave it open, then the push can continue. And again, this is one of the things I don't like watching about top-level Rainmaker play, at least in this context, is that they leave the Rainmaker lying around too much, and aggressive Rainmaker players can very easily manipulate that and abuse that, in that if Oro Jackson picked up the Rainmaker, it wouldn't have reset to mid, and they would have been able to keep their push going, but they elected not to, and I think that's a mistake, personally.
So, Reyes, are you saying that top level Splatoon hates Rainmaker because they don't play it aggressively enough?
Yes.
Excellent. So if someone could clip that and put it on Blue Sky for me, that would be great. At some top players for me. I just think a little bit of drama on this Sunday would be really fun. So we're getting over into this right-hand side, just kind of stalling things out for a little bit, and I don't blame them. We don't really need to move the Rainmaker too far. There's only a minute left in the game. If we can stall out on this right-hand side for as long as possible, either until an opening appears or until we have to move forward, we're going to get into this situation. Cody there having to drop out in mid, forced out there by everything that was going on, provided an opening to get a few more points. And all of the players of Oro Jackson coming out on this right-hand side, it looks like they favor this quick right-hand push.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It's safe, relatively speaking, in comparison to going through mid. And the mid options aren't really that good on this map, because you have to get really close to where the enemy could drop down, but on this far right side, it's, again, relatively safe, all things considered, until the Kraken just dives out of bunker and says, I'm gonna try and commit a crime now. Granted, they don't quite do it, but it's the E-leader, so they'll probably have a beacon to jump back to and they'll get out fairly safely, but if you actually go to the overhead, no, the E-leader is just behind. The E-leader is flanking right now, currently. And with everything out of position, I think Oro Jackson gets lead here. I think they win the game in overtime.
Yeah, honestly, for a little bit there, I was kind of liking the E-leader being behind. That's a funny thing to do. But
not funny
when
enough.
The rest of your team goes down and you have no one standing in front of the Rainmaker anymore. Yeah. But, I mean, so as we were talking about before that match started, whether or not it was going to be a one-off or if it was going to be more back and forth. We definitely saw them more back and forth. But I would definitely say that still ezmd was in the dominant side of that game for most of it.
I agree. I think, well, and again, I think that ezmd could have won the game in overtime because they had specials to stall out, but the 4K went for a risk in flanking, and it's a leader. They needed to get one shot. They had one opportunity to cue the song, but they didn't make it work. So Oro Jackson knows that the leader's flanking because it Kraken, so they know that the front is weak. And again, this is one of the things where in Rainmaker, you can very quickly, very easily push forward off positional errors from the other team. As a matter of fact, I would say that's one of the best reasons to push. So Oro Jackson, with the information that there's only 3 people in front of us, just started pushing. They just said, you know, we can do this. You know, just do it.
Yeah. I feel like the Kraken coming up from 4K. Yeah, and the Kraken from 4K, I really feel like had to get that pick on the Rainmaker. They ended up not being able to, and I feel like once they were unable to, they needed to jump back. Because a E-leader from behind is funny, but an E-leader from the front is threatening.
Yes. What I would have really liked to see is the E-leader can stay on the flank, but it's to drop 2 beacons and then jump away.
Yeah,
so that way, when overtime begins, the E-leader is in the prime front position.
Yeah.
And then you have a flanker who can jump in, because then Oro Jackson would have to deal with it.
Yes, and that's what I was thinking. Either the beacon or even just a swap of players. Like we have the E-leader jump back to spawn, and one of the swords say jump out to the E-leader's position. So just a swapping of positions, so you have a stronger player on that back end. I think would have been really rad. You know, because you got the E-leader into a funny position for someone else. Because the E-leader can have a lot of impact there if we haven't broken first check yet. But without that first checkpoint, all they have to do is get around a wall, right? So throw someone else back
now. Now on to game 3, Tower Control, Hagglefish Market. E-leader still a good pick here. I think arguably better than Humpback Rainmaker. So Oro Jackson and ezmd, the S-Blast coming out for the first time on day 2. I really like ezmd's comp here. I favor them to win this game, personally.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of digging it. I kind of love the Kiki Haunt S-Blast. I'm just gonna say it's kind of rad. That's Oro Jackson kind of just burst into mid, got a couple down, made the others jump out, and stormed spawn. Like, we're 30 seconds into this game. We're already clearing first checkpoint and in the opponent's spawn.
Yeah, S-Blast hopefully starting to come alive here. Gets one, and now it's on flat. Not going to be enough to save first checkpoint, but second is still very workable. That being said, Crab Tank comes out for Oro Jackson. They don't really have anything else to keep it going, though. They don't have any other specials, so S-Blast can just pop Booyah here if they really want and stop it in its tracks, but somehow, someway, ezmd went 3 down, so never mind. Oro Jackson is just going to continue pushing. We saw a lot of dominance in Game 1 for ezmd, but here in Game 3, Oro Jackson controls everything.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing kind of just feels like a little bit of a meltdown. We've gone 3 down 5 times in a row. That wages 100-0 to tower push, of all things, on a map that's good for E-Leader. And
yeah. On a map that's good for S-Blast, too.
And that, too, yeah. It just feels like ezmd just got into a hard stagger and couldn't recover.
Yeah, like, they never properly took the time. It's like I mentioned earlier on in the tournament, they never had their IGL say, all right, take a deep breath, guys. We can still win this. We can still do it. It just, like, Oro Jackson started and then never stopped. And ezmd didn't stop either.
Yeah. Like, we kind of just needed them to pause and say, okay, first check is gone. Leave it. Let's focus on stopping second check. Yeah. But let's focus on stopping second. Let's focus on stopping third. Like, we need to drop that and clear plat. Because first checkpoint was never going to be savable. Not with what the resources they had, not with Toadie already in, and Promano both already in their spawn. They needed to clear their spawn, allow a stable standing position for the rest of their teammates, and allow things to move forward. But we just got into a little bit of a meltdown. Just couldn't quite get there.
Yeah. Last game, we called out the E-Leaders mispositioning. I think this time I'm gonna have to crown ezmd's biggest loser to be the S-Blast. They had Booyah. They were in a defensive position, but they chose to fight with their main weapon, and normally I am a fan. Lily can attest to this. I love using main weapons. Main weapons are great. But in a tower control game, you have the button that just says, push over. Push, stopped, done, checkpoint, still ours. And they elected to not use it.
I'm still laughing about ezmd's biggest loser. Like, you didn't have to do it to him. Raze, you didn't have to do it to them. They know.
Don't worry. If Oro Jackson does it, we'll elect the Oro Jackson biggest loser. But,
sure. Okay.
I won't play favorites. These hands are rated E for everyone. You good? You okay, Lily?
I mean, these hands are rated E for everyone is also just really good.
It's a classic.
You know.
Oh no, the headset's off. All right, the counter pick is back to Rainmaker. Let's go.
We do love
These teams are scared of Rainmaker. That being said, ezmd picked it, so they knew they were in control for that entire humpback game. That one thing slipped and got away from them, and they want to rectify that. They want to show off their Rainmaker skill.
I mean, I don't blame them because that last match was rough.
Yes.
So and the Rainmaker game was pretty good. It was still, not great, but it was pretty good. So I don't blame them for wanting to go back to it real quick. We got Kiki back on that bucket off the S-Blast, which I don't hate, especially here. And I mean, Kiki's been doing pretty good on the buckets anyways. I don't really want to criticize that at all.
Yeah, Promano in spinner getting one. Oro Jackson tried to dive forward, ended up not really coming to fruition. That being said, ezmd also can't move forward. It was enough from Oro Jackson that, ezmd might have been able to hold, but they weren't able to retaliate. And, in Rainmaker, that's really all you can hope for.
Truthfully, yes. And we're seeing Kit Kat getting just bombarded with thing after thing, and I kind of love to see it. Like, that's kind of what you need to move a pencil out. You can't just let them back up to a new position. You gotta keep going. A Kiki Shark here on this platform here is going to give, I mean, a good threatening position. That crab is going to struggle a little bit, and the sword as well. I'm kind of just loving this dip and dodge around all these corners and spinner. Like, this is how you play spinner as aggro. This is it.
Yeah, Kiki did an absolutely incredible job holding spinner there, and it was enough to allow the Rainmaker to outlast the crab take from Oro Jackson and then end up getting the first checkpoint. Now the ball is in Oro Jackson's court, and they need to retaliate, but with 2 players going down, Permano in mid, Permano going down, ezmd has the map wide open. They just need someone to grab it, and they were slow on that grab. The window was wide open. It was so free, and then they had to end up using more resources because they weren't quick enough. There was a miscommunication, something broke down, and they only pushed to 23 instead of, honestly, they probably could have KO'd there if they just picked up quickly.
Sure thing, but the 23 is not bad. On this map, getting past that second pillow is usually all you really need to get a decent push here that's defensible. So pushing to 23, I'll give it to him. 2.5 minutes left in the game, that's easily defensible. As long as we don't run into a situation like the last game where we have a member of the team caught out in a place that's difficult.
What I will say is that I gave ezmd a bunch of slack there, but Oro Jackson deserves more because of how they played that defense. Watching the 52 slowly slide off the side of the Rainmaker was very comedic.
It absolutely is. And I'm loving the Krakens coming out of 4K. Like,
yes.
They're so aggressive, and they get in and out in aggressive ways, in ways that are good, and I find like some Kraken players feel like they have to get in and then they have to return to their starting position. But instead what we're seeing from 4K is them getting into good positions for them. Not necessarily the starting one, just a good secondary position.
Yeah. This Rainmaker carry by 4K, also incredible, going from their own spinner to not just the enemy spinner, but to 21. They got like 6 points off that push. And I really, really love to see that. Because something that I think anchor players can be scared of is that they can be scared of just pushing forward with the Rainmaker, and because they don't want to die. That's just, if you're an anchor player, that's something that's been repeatedly pushed into you. Do not die, do not go down. Your job is to anchor, it's to stay alive, it's to be a foundation. But when you play the Rainmaker, you need to flip that on your head.
Yeah, Rainmaker just cannot play that way.
Yes, and 4K was absolutely not stuck in that mindset, and I'm hoping that someone from Oro Jackson will adopt a similar mindset here momentarily, because with a player going down for ezmd, Oro Jackson has initiative over this game, 2 going down. Now they just need the Rainmaker.
We need the Rainmaker, which, you know, an E-leader is preventing in time for their teammates to respawn. But we're also only seeing 1 player from Oro Jackson on that left-hand side. I mean, 2 now, but it took them a little longer. I feel like they were all down, probably. But it took them a little longer than I would have liked for them to get there. And they still had to get checkpoints. And now we have 30 seconds left on the clock. We have to get into good positions and stop this Rainmaker from pushing. But yeah, E-leader still has Kraken. Here it comes. Like, you can't push with a has Kraken.
Yeah. But what I think it is from Oro Jackson is I think they have a designated Rainmaker carrier. Okay, if they died to tap shot right there, I was gonna fall off. But I think Oro Jackson is a designated Rainmaker carrier, and if that carrier is not the one picking up, no one else in the team will. And I think that's a huge, what's the polite way to say this? I think that's a huge mistake, a huge misplay, because Rainmaker is a fluid mode. You cannot have a single designated carrier, because that designated carrier will let opportunities slip by because they're not in position, and that's okay.
Yeah,
so there needs to be a hierarchy here.
Yes, and you can have a primary.
I don't think Oro Jackson had that hierarchy.
No, yes, a primary Rainmaker carrier is very different from a dedicated Rainmaker carrier, and I think that's the mistake that a lot of teams make. Just you have one who wants to pick it up most of the time, but everyone needs to be prepared to touch that Rainmaker at any given time.
Yes. Yeah. Even your frontliners, especially your frontliners.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the things that having the custom E-leader
Yeah.
For ezmd, that allowed their team so much flexibility in who's picking up the Rainmaker, because you can just jump back into Beacon if you die with Rainmaker.
Yeah.
You can run forward, get as many points as you can, go down, and as long as the rest of your team is safe, the push can continue going. And that's something that Oro Jackson doesn't really have the luxury of.
Yeah.
They don't have the luxury of going super far, and just going down and then restarting, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of going really far, we're in game 5. This set has gone all the way.
It has, and I'm really interested to see what happens next, because we've seen, I'm kind of like, Oro Jackson is a top-level team, and top-level teams almost always kind of pick zones, just because zones is comfortable for them. But the only zones mode or the only zones map we saw was rough for Oro Jackson. So are we going to chalk that up to nothing and pick zones again? Because I feel like that's what we're going to do, right?
Well, so Oro Jackson is probably going to look at the map list and go, okay, this E-Leader has been a problem. We know it's a problem. That's why we're here. What is the worst E-Leader map we can possibly pick? And they actually won that counter pick in Humpback Rainmaker. But the problem is they still almost lost.
Yes.
Oro Jackson still almost lost. So how does Oro Jackson neutralize this E-Leader? And then can you neutralize the E-Leader without losing to the rest of the team? Because that's really the balancing act here that ezmd has been doing an impeccable job of. Clan Blitz is a fantastic decision. I think this is honestly Oro Jackson's, probably one of the best picks they could have made.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't expecting it though. I don't think I've ever seen a top team pick Clan Blitz if they didn't have to.
Well, okay. So if we look at this for the longer, Oro Jackson won Rainmaker and won Tower Control.
Yeah.
Right? So they can't go back to those modes. They got, like we said, they got obliterated on zones. That's scary. That's really scary.
Yeah.
And also consider the maps for zones are, because zones is a stationary objective, it's generally better for E-Leader. Clan Blitz, a very fluid mode in that it's very mobile. Things can just happen and you can flow around the E-Leader very easily. And then Scorch Gorge, while the middle of the map is very open, the E-Leader can find some value. There's also a really huge piece of cover in the middle of the map, and then when you're scoring, there's also large pieces of cover and ledges you can get next to that the leader can't shoot down on without risking themselves. So this pick for Oro Jackson has, I think, very much set themselves up for success.
I'm interested to see what happens, because I mean, none of these maps has been easy for Oro Jackson except for the Tower Control. That was their fluke. If ezmd had a fluke on zones, Oro Jackson had one on TC. So the Rainmaker games that play a little bit closer to how Clan Blitz does have been a little bit more competitive, contented. English is hard. So I'm really interested to see what we pull out here. There's not a whole lot of comp changes, which I wasn't really expecting at this stage. But
it's game 5. You're not really changing anything. That being said, I don't like the Oro Jackson rollout. I'm going to say it. They didn't paint in front of their basket at all. So if this first fight goes poorly for them, and they're all grouped up too. So if this first fight goes poorly for Oro Jackson, things might just snowball out of control. And that already happened once in game 1. We're not protecting it in game 5.
That's they just don't have anywhere to back up to. I don't like it. It looks like someone has gone in there afterwards and pumped it out a little bit. It should be okay, but man, ezmd is moving quicker than I thought they would.
Crab tank coming out from the side of Oro Jackson to slow the push down, though. ezmd going to be unable to find anything with their opening pushes, and now map control has swung back where ezmd is... The Kraken. Oh my god, sorry, the Kraken just had me completely aghast.
Yeah, I was frozen. Alright, so 4K proving that Kraken, the K in 4K does stand for Kraken, yet again, and things are going fine. They have quite the clan control. I mean, quite a few clans here in mid spawning up for the teammates, and 4K with that football, unfortunately locked in a little bit of a duel with the pencil. I would love to see them give up the gun and move a little forward. That should have been a death to a splat bomb. I would agree. So mad.
Very lucky.
But we throw that down. We throw another Kraken out. Silver is going to get that open. And I mean, we've got a few clams online for the members of EZMD, but not a ton, really. So it's going to come down to how many are in mid.
Getting it down to 65, getting it down to 59 is very good. Something I want to point out about this push, though, for EZMD is 4K just went in, and then the front line for the incredible flip sludge just went in and opened up a lot of space. They used the Kraken as a battering ram, as a tool to open the door, and then once the door was open, everyone else walked through it. That's something that a lot of Kraken players don't really do. They think they themselves need to get the value, but Oro Jackson here now sitting in their own spawn, numbers trading back and forth evenly, but Oro Jackson really needs to get into mid here and displace people or get these clams, get the clam economy under control. Right now, they're just not having a fun game.
Yeah, they're truly just having the hardest time even regaining control of this left-hand side. I feel like, I mean, Toady going in here now, just about to say, I feel like we need a right-hand side flanker, and that works out for Toady, who gets sniped mid-air by 4K. But this does mean we have a disruptor in mid. We pushed all the members of EZMD pretty much back to their own side of mid. We had, I mean, so that is what needed to happen. It just didn't go well, you know? Then that just happens.
Oro Jackson's panicking.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it. Oro Jackson's panicking. Both Promano and Toady got lost in the sauce, so to speak. Toady went too deep in on that last push, and it opened the door for the penalty of EZMD to go down. And now they haven't solidified their mid control. Oro Jackson is getting ahead of themselves. They are all grouped up in pillows with no turf. As soon as EZMD gets a special, this push ends, and they don't have the mid control to keep this going, I think Oro Jackson might just fizzle out here.
And honestly, I feel like that's going to be the case. We do have another football online, which is going to give them the lead, and a little bit more on top of that, but we essentially wiped Forest. So, I mean, what we get a football in ties us for EZMD. One clam on top of that takes lead again. So, they've gotten the lead, but is it safe with how EZMD has been playing so far? Yeah.
EZMD is already back. They're already back. They're here. They have what they need. There's just this person in mid who they get 3 down, and with specials coming online for EZMD, if they just put the clam in the basket, they would have been fine, but wanting to fight that person instead, Promano getting a huge amount of value there. This new guy's going to get shredded. It's not touching the ground again. Getting one is incredibly lucky for them.
Yeah, so, I mean, at this point, that ball is dead. That ball is done, that push is done. We gotta do it again. And EZMD has proven they can, and they can incredibly quickly. So, they just need to make a ball and get things done. It looks like we have some team members passing clams back to our E-leader to try to build that ball. We do have a decent amount of time, but, I mean, we need those clams.
Yeah, we need clams.
We still need one more.
EZMD has everything else. All they need is clams. That being said, Oro Jackson, Promano bubbling to get to someone going down. The game ends. Oro Jackson taken all the way to a game 5, building the power to end the game. It was close. It was just
a flub on that last push from EZMD, where they just needed to not fight that sword and go in and let our sword take care of it. You know.
I think the power needed to get put in to open the basket to force something else.
Yeah.
Not to say the sword didn't need to get fought. It absolutely did need to get fought.
But what
I think our order of operation got a little wacky there.
Yeah. You put the clam in the basket, you open the basket, and that at the very least sets you up to get that lead position. And what you do is your sword is right behind you. So when their stamper turns to fight you opening the basket, your stamper comes in behind them and kills them. So we just felt like we had to get